Bom dia, welcome back. Well, it's day 2 of pre-Carnaval here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. I enjoyed the first day of pre-Carnaval yesterday. You saw that I posted 2 videos in one day. So I must have enjoyed myself because I was having a good time and I was feeling the energy and I was getting in the spirit. But as I said in those videos, I'm crossing a pedestrian bridge over this busy avenue here. It's got a bit of an echo. But as I mentioned, both times I went out yesterday to the pre-Carnival event, I went for an hour in the afternoon and an hour at night. About an hour is about what I can take. What I want to talk about in today's episode is about what I hate about Carnival. Yep. And I want to remind you first that I encourage everyone with an adventurous spirit, that is, to experience Carnival in Brazil at least once in your life, because it is a unique experience. And I found it to be joyous and exciting and fascinating. My first and my second and my third and the fourth and fifth time. Oh, since we're passing them right now, those obviously across the street are porta potties, and I will mention them in a bit. Just give you a look at them. But this being my 23rd year of either visiting and or living in Brazil, Salvador specifically, I have grown, or let me say I've learned to hate some things about Carnival. And, you know, there are reasons why I'm only able to withstand an hour now out in the streets before I head back home. And let me tell you what those are. Now, maybe hate is too strong of a word. Let me use the word dislike. And I do want to say I am not the only person in Salvador by any means who has things that they dislike about Carnival. Surprisingly, there are quite a few soteropolitanos, as residents and natives of Salvador are called. There are quite a few soteropolitanos who actually leave town during Carnival every single year. Yep, they lock up their apartments, pack up their things, get in the car or on the plane, and get out of town and get far away from Carnival. And I think I understand why. Okay, in no particular order, I'll start with the noise. Carnival is loud. Now, nothing wrong with loud. It is a giant public celebration. World famous. Guinness Book of World Records classifies Salvador's Carnival as the largest street party in the world, with over a million participants. So of course it's going to be loud. But if you're in the middle of Carnival, dancing or following one of those giant 3-decker trio electricos, the sound level is deafening, and I mean deafening, and you can actually damage your eardrums if you stand or walk or dance right next to them or directly behind them. And frankly, not only is the music deafeningly loud, but I personally do not really like the kind of music that they play at Carnival. Now, these are live performances on top of these trio electricos, which I suppose you could classify as a type of float. They're actually huge multi-level what do you call them, on wheels that are pulled by trucks, and they can be very elaborate with neon lights and elaborate sound systems and professional dancers and some of the most famous performing artists in all of Brazil. But I don't like the kind of music. I don't know if that just said something about me. And now, don't get me wrong, I love Brazilian music. But just like in any country, there are different genres. There's, for example, the music that comes out of the United States. Do I love all of it? Of course not. And that's true here. I'm not a big fan of the type of music that is popular, Carnaval. And I just said, there is the problem of the volume. And I live about a block and a half off the Carnival route. And believe me, at night, and I'm talking about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, it is loud in my apartment. Not so loud that I can't sleep, but I'm well aware of it. Number 2, the huge crowds. As I said, Salvador gets over 1 million visitors to Carnaval, visitors and local participants, and the streets in and around Carnaval are packed, absolutely packed with people. And one can start feeling like a sardine. And it can be exhilarating, dancing and jumping and partying with that kind of, with those kind of numbers, but it can also be exhausting and irritating and uncomfortable because you're often pushed, shoved, stepped on, elbowed out of the way, not in a mean and aggressive way, but just simply people trying to move forward and follow the trio electricos. And they're jumping up wildly and dancing. And the reason why they call it pulando, you pula Carnaval. You don't dance, you pula. And pula means, in Portuguese, it means jump. And the participants are called pipoca, popcorn. And you know how popcorn pops up and when it's being cooked? Well, everybody's popping up and down and they can land on your feet, which is why the national footwear here in Brazil is the flip-flop called the Havaiana here, with one exception. During Carnival, many people do not wear Havaianas, they wear tennis shoes. Because your feet are going to be stepped on and you're going to be pushed and shoved. And, after a while you can get a little bit irritated. And best just to try to be zen about it. If you react, if you elbow somebody who accidentally elbows you or steps on you or pushes you out of the way, well, you're going to get a reaction. Most of the time, someone will say to you, they've said it to me, if you're bothered, just stay home, which I think is a reasonable thing to say. If you don't want to get stepped on or pushed out of the way or elbowed or shoved, stay home, because all of those things are going to happen to you at Carnival, inevitably. Next thing is just general discomfort. The heat. It's February, which means the height of the summer season in the southern hemisphere in South America, and it's the hottest time of year. And so even at night, it is darn hot, which can add to the discomfort. The risks. Now, I don't want to exaggerate or alarm anybody or discourage anybody from experiencing Carnival, because the odds are nothing bad will happen to you. But yes, there is a small risk of robbery or injury. I was a victim of robbery last year at Carnival. On the very first day, I was filming with my cell phone along the Carnival route, I was holding my cell phone in my hand with my arm up high in the air to grab a view of all the huge crowds, and some jerk grabbed my cell phone out of my hand and walked off. And he was in a bloco. He was actually one of those people who holds the ropes, who's a paid, what are they called? Corderos? They hold the cords. And he grabbed my cell phone. And I pointed him out, and people in the crowd grabbed him and shook him down, trying to find my cell phone. But he had obviously passed it off to one of his accomplices. So it's a good reason not to take a cell phone or a wallet or anything with you, because you're packed in there with people. Sometimes you're trapped. You can't move, and it's very easy to get pickpocketed. Oh, and here's the next reason, which we're passing right now. All these porta potties. The city does put out lots of porta potties for people to use to go pee-pee, but what happens at the height of Carnival is long lines form in front of them, and after a while they get stinky in the tropical heat, and they get nasty, and so people just go and do their business behind a bush, behind a parked car, wherever they can, men and women, just going potty in the street. And it gets nasty, especially as you get on day 5, 6, and 7, hot tropical heat, urine, and other unmentionables. It can get very nasty. And then there's the problem of just trash in general. You know, I live in a neighborhood where Carnival takes place, and by the 6th, 7th, 8th day, everything is trashed. There's trash everywhere. The city tries to clean every night, but there's just too much. There's trash everywhere, and things start looking a little nasty and smelling a little nasty. Then there's just a small minority out of the million who attend who are just plain youthful hooligans. And Carnival is the one time of the year where they feel like they have license to do crazy stuff that they normally wouldn't do. And that includes doing something like a guy will walk down the street coming towards you in the opposite direction and then just make a fist and punch you in the face. Now that has not happened to me, but it happened to a friend of mine who was visiting from Canada, who was just walking down the street, and some guy was walking in the opposite direction, punched him in the mouth. And I don't think he'll ever attended Carnival or even came back to Brazil after that. So you just got to keep your head on a swivel. Now that's not, you don't have to be frightened that that's going to happen, but just be aware that there are always a few bad apples in every crowd. And you know, teenagers and very young adults, immature and not in control of themselves, and want to prove their manhood, I suppose, as they do ridiculous, stupid things like that. Now those kind of things happen at Carnival. And then, of course, especially when you're young, there's lots of alcohol flowing, lots of beer for sale, lots of cachaça, caipirinhas, anything you want. And so it's very easy to get dehydrated and to drink too much alcohol and get a terrible hangover. And not everybody lives a block away and can go right home and drop into bed. It can be difficult to get back home or to your hotel or Airbnb or hostel or wherever you're staying. And you know, to get a taxi or a Uber can be difficult, especially at night. And if you're feeling drunk or indisposed, well, good luck. Those costumes that they're wearing across the street, that's a very traditional costume, Carnival costume. Very nice, cool. Another bad thing is that prices are very much inflated during Carnival for accommodations and many other things. So expect to spend some money, more than you would on a normal visit to Salvador. Another difficult thing is that the police can be rough and somewhat aggressive, and I understand why. They have to be. It's a combat zone. No, I'm exaggerating, but there are some rough elements. But what they do is 8 or 10 of them will snake through the crowds in a single file with their clubs and just shove themselves through the crowd and push anybody who is in the way out of the way, roughly. And many times you don't know that they're coming. You're facing the opposite direction. You're just chatting with friends. You're watching the festivities, and suddenly you're roughly pushed out of the way. You can lose your balance and even fall. And it's the police. Now, as one columnist I remember one year wrote, the police at Carnaval, bad with them, worse without them. And they also are in those Policia Militar stands that we can see across the street. Bad with them and worse without them. You wouldn't want there to be no police at Carnaval. It would be probably mayhem, and the criminal element would run wild. But you want to stay out of their way. Now, I hope I have not discouraged anybody. I want you to come and experience Carnaval in Salvador or anywhere else in Brazil. It's a unique experience. It's very worthwhile. You'll be glad you did. I just wanted to give you a heads up about potential bad things that can pop up and maybe ruin your Carnival. Just be aware of them. Don't bring anything of value. Keep your cell phone back in your room. Get a money belt to put your valuables under your clothes. Money belts are sold all along the Carnival route. I'm walking along early. Pre-Carnival festivities have not started for the day. I'm not sure what time it is. It's afternoon, but I would say in about an hour or two, this space is going to be absolutely jam-packed with revelers. All the vendors are already out. Well, many of them sleep here next to their little stands because they don't want to lose their space. They can make as much in 10 days during Carnival than they can for half a year. So maintaining their spot is very important. I was just looking at the masks that they're selling and the bunny ears and other little costume accoutrements. But I'm just thinking, I have so many costume pieces at home here in Salvador in my apartment. I do not need to buy anything new. I need to just dig something out of my closet to put on for later when I go out for my hour of Carnival. Now imagine a line of policemen like that, but plowing through a huge crowds with their billy clubs. That's what you gotta watch out for. As you can see, this Carnival route goes right along the ocean front. But here in Salvador, there are 3 different Carnival routes. That's how big Carnival is. This is the one that's very near my home. But there are other Carnival routes in other parts of the city. I remember one year, a long time ago, Eliamara and I went out to the Carnival route that is far, far away from where we are right now, in another part of the city. And Eliamar went to buy a beer and left me. I just stood there waiting for him to come back, and he never came back. I was so pissed. And there was no way, well, there was only one way to get back home, and that was on foot. And I had to, it was like, I felt like a salmon swimming upstream it was so difficult to get back here to this neighborhood. And I remember I got caught in one of those huge fist fights and was cowering in the corner, shielding my head from the police batons, cracking heads. Oh my God, when I got home, I was furious. And the next morning, he comes home and I kicked him out of the house. Turns out that he had not enjoyed Carnival last night. He got involved in one of those fights and the police nabbed him, and he had to spend the whole night sitting in the penalty box where they put the miscreants. He had to sit in a chair the entire night in a tent, in a police tent, and he did not enjoy Carnaval. So that was my bittersweet revenge. Looks like things are starting up. And here's one of those camarotes I spoke about earlier in my last episode, where the wealthy can pay to sit and stand and view Carnival from above. This one is called Camarote Glamour. Camarote Glamour 2026. How elite. Now, I can't afford such highfalutin ways, so I am just pipoca this year. Popcorn. And here comes a group of beautifully dressed baianas. I love their colorful outfits and their style. It's great having a working cell phone. Thank you, Eliamar, for lending me this cell phone until I get my new one on Tuesday. And here comes another beautifully costumed group. I have to admit, I do have my moments when I still love Carnival. Moments like this, high energy, beautiful costumes, the enthusiasm. A group of Smurfs! Blue Smurfs! Thank you, Sailor Girl! Another absolutely beautiful day here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. Pre-Carnaval 2026. Okay, friends, I got out of that crowd. I am heading home because I am not wearing the appropriate clothes. I'm not wearing anything under my shorts, which means I can't hide my wallet or anything else inside my underwear. I need to go change my clothes and get a little more appropriately costumed or dressed and come back out here when the sun sets, because I don't need any more hot sun. But I'll come out after dark, and there'll be a lot more people out here at that time, and it might be a little cooler too. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me on this second day of pre-Carnival here in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. As always, beijo, ciao.